So we've been hearing a lot of rumblings about this Suicide Squad game that just came out, and I thought it was an interesting development that we find Rocksteady, which is the maker of this particular game, is affiliated with Sweet Baby Inc., and that could speak to quite possibly what's going on with this game and its well rejection. There doesn't seem to be a lot of positive out there about this game. It seems very very negative. Lots of the reviews were negative, especially early on, and there have been some weird claims like maybe they were removing reviews. Well, the process to do that on Steam is multifaceted, and I don't think that's actually something that's been happening. What I do think has happened is there's been a sudden influx of positive reviews from a lot of different places. We'll have to say that overall, it's a little suspect when you look at Steam and the scores are as high as they are, and yet the player count is so low. You also have to wonder why the game is scored so poorly elsewhere, including Metacritic, which is an aggregator that takes all of the review places and puts them all together. Well, I thought maybe we'd get into it. We do have a couple of articles, and then we might have something to point our finger at. Let's get to it. First off, though, we've got to talk about me sponsoring me. That's right. My site, www.beachpunk.us, is where you can go to get all of your beach punk gear. And as you see here, we're going to start off with this Game Rant article that is Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Physical sales seem to be off to a shaky start. Well, so do digital sales. But we'll get there in just a moment. Just a reminder, check out my website, beachpunk.us, for all your beach punk merch needs. Anyway, here we are, this Game Rant article I wanted to talk about. So it looks like there's not a lot of sales here. Now, this goes back about 3 days. It hasn't improved much after I've looked at the numbers, and I think this is a good place to start. Despite leading other games for the week of its release, which isn't saying much, there wasn't a lot out there other than really independent games. I can't think of another one that came out that would have been even intriguing to anybody. The Kill the Justice League game, or KTJL, as it's easier to find, believe it or not, appears to be struggling with physical sales. I think it's struggling with digital sales too. So as you look, it says Kill the Justice League is facing a tough time in terms of its initial physical sales, falling short of expectations compared to other comic book games like Guardians of the Galaxy. Well, Guardians didn't have a particularly aggressive growth campaign going on for it, so that's not good. It says the game's poor performance on Steam and slow physical sales in general during the debut suggests an underwhelming reception overall. Yeah. I mean, some of the stuff that leaked out there was going to turn off a lot of consumers, a lot of people that were hardcore into this particular franchise. You see, Batman is kind of important to DC fans, considering it's the number one character for DC. And, well, that's not a surprise. You have a lot of fans of the Caped Crusader, including yours truly. And, well, it just happens to lead all book sales across the board. So when you have him go out the way that he does, and in order to avoid spoilers, if you're interested in that, you can check that out over on, well, any of the cutscenes you can find on YouTube and other places. I'm not going to spoil it, but he doesn't go out well. I mean, none of them go out particularly well, but especially Batman. It was offensive to a lot of people. But it's not the only reason. I mean, the underperformance of Suicide Squad raises concerns among fans, leaving the future of the game and its potential updates uncertain. People actually believe that this won't make it a year. And again, it's a game as a service, which means they're trying to squeeze every penny out of you. And I think gamers are starting to decide they're not really interested in that. But I'll continue. So it just launched just a few days ago on the 4th, I believe. we're only 4 or 5 days outside of when it released. Oh, maybe it was the second. Anyway, it was just a few days ago. But it says just launched, but it already appears to be in a precarious position based on the initial sales. Developer Rocksteady's follow up to its Batman Arkham series is taking DC Universe adventures in a new direction. No kidding. By putting players in control of some of the classic Arkham inmates this time around. Well, basically, they're just like putting you in charge of the major bad person in this, which is the chick, which is Harley Quinn. Anyway, that allow. So once you do that, obviously you're going around eliminating the Justice League. The new game has quite a legacy to live up to. No kidding. The people that love the Arkham series are actually more interested in playing the other Arkham games, which we'll get to in a moment. So, as the next chapter of the Arkham series, the new title has some big shoes to fill, as I said before. So, as reported on Twitter by GamesIndustry.biz head Christopher Dring, Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League is currently seeing sales in its first week that are roughly half of what Guardians of the Galaxy experienced during its release. Given the Marvel game, which also featured third-person combat and a wise-cracking team of unlikely heroes, was seen as underperforming itself, this doesn't bode well. Yeah, it does not. And this is the stuff that came out of there. But as Dring pointed out, Suicide Squad did lead other titles, beating Persona 3 Reload. Well, if you already own Persona 3 and you already know what they do with reloads, which most gamers know now that they're being given something terrible most of the time, that doesn't surprise me. However, it seems that this is more of a result of slow physical sales in general at the moment. Well, they're trying to blame it on a broader problem, something that maybe a reality. People are buying fewer physical games. Why would they also stop buying digitally as well? It doesn't answer a lot of questions. It's not clear why Suicide Squad is performing so poorly. Well, you obviously didn't see the cutscenes. You really didn't. It's received mixed reviews, but has gotten plenty of praise for entertaining gameplay and original story. I don't think that's true. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that people don't want necessarily to have the bad guys win. They're living in a world right now where the bad guys win far too often. In fact, all the time, it seems, especially when you get involved with entities like, well, Sweet Baby Inc., which is complete trash, a total garbage organization. And the lady that started this back in 2018 really took the message to heart and started to drive that into the heart of every single game maker. Alan Wake 2, Sable, Battle Shapers, Spider-Man 2, Gods of War Ragnarok. No wonder that game felt a mess. And Usual. Look at all the clients that they have. They've really infiltrated all of these different game makers. You have Xbox, of course, Electronic Arts, Valve, True Love. You have Santa Monica Studio, 2K. That's terrible. Ubisoft. That's more terrible. Square Enix, Warner Brothers, of course. Finji, Polytron, and look, Rocksteady, Co-op, and so many more. I mean, you can go through here for yourself and find that this is really, they really have their hands into destroying everything. But I mean, what is the result of that? Well, the result of that is fans are leaving the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League in favor of a better Batman experience. Yeah, something in a previous Arkham game. So Batman Arkham Knights is faring far better than Kill the Justice League, even now. And this is a story that came out as I'm recording this on February 8th. Just came out this morning. You read into this, and it says that the Batman Arkham Knight has seen a massive surge in player numbers around the release of the Suicide Squad. Makes sense. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is a third action shooter titled from Rocksteady Studios in the Batman Arkham Games series. It's been out for about a week. The game hasn't had the best launch as the fans and developer would have expected, and saw several issues in under 24 hours of its release. Yeah, it was full of bugs. I mean, it was, again, this is a problem with games as a service, right? You're introducing a game you have to be always online for, and nobody wants to do that. This needs to, when you release these games, they need to be single player campaigns. This is a single player game. So why, I mean, I'm not certain. Maybe there are some co op parts of this game, but why would you even do that to yourself? If you've ever played these before, it's not as enjoyable. But the developer had to take it offline to fix these issues, which only worsened the player's experiences. Yeah, no kidding. The game has been criticized ever since it was first announced for multiple issues that a live service game has and more. Well, yeah. While Arkhamverse fans are disappointed with the game, well, this is true. They hate it. They're flocking towards a better game in the series with a better Batman experience. They're playing Arkham Knight. Huge numbers. Spike. Yeah, as reported by True Trophies, Batman Arkham Knight has seen a significant increase in player count before and after launch week of Kill the Justice League. Wow. The data is based on 3.2 million active PlayStation accounts. Goodness. As per the gameplay data of the accounts, Arkham Knight saw over a 20% increase in players, booting the game ahead of the launch week of Suicide Squad. Well, probably because they wanted to get ready for it. The launch week of the game, which ended February 4th, brought over a 25.94% increase in player numbers on the PS4 and PS5, surpassing the numbers before the release of the latest Rocksteady title, Arkham Knight. Arkham Knight saw an increase of 51% in the last 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks. Despite the game launch, this is the same universe as Arkham Knight. Wow. The increase in player count is attributed to Kill the Justice League and its live service future, but it's also possible players would have wanted to revisit this title before they went on to try the new release game. And then they probably heard about how poor the new release game was. So they're pointing to the fact that the players playing Arkham Knight, they saw that jump up to Gotham Knights in 2020, got a jump of 40%. So, looks like people just want to revisit the previous game, but doesn't it sound like the fan base is contracting here? So the game was released on February 2nd and had a lackluster player count on the launch day. And according to Steam DB, the game saw a peak player count. This is bad. 12,667 players on day one. It wasn't improved much as of now. As well as the game only has 2,248 players currently. What does currently mean? Well, let's put it close to when this article came out, which is 8:56 a.m., 9 a.m. So this came out 9 a.m., early morning players, 7, 8 a.m. You're not getting good numbers there. That's pretty disappointing. 2,248. Not good. And the 24-hour peak player count. So from the 7th to the 8th, from let's say 8 o'clock in the morning on the 7th to 8 o'clock in the morning on the 8th, 5,800 players. This is nothing. That's tiny. That's ridiculously small. Moreover, the highest player peak of the new title has only been 13,459 since launch. And that was recorded 5 days ago. There's not a lot of interest in this game. Batman Arkham Knight is one of the most popular superhero games of all time, and Rocksteady has been a fan favorite studio. Well, until they partnered with Sweet Baby Inc., I can assure you. That was 2018 that this I'm going to remind you that Sweet Baby Inc. came into existence to destroy all games that they touch, which is basically almost all games now. Exciting, huh? However, Suicide Squad has not been received well by players. Massive surge in numbers after launch week proves that the 9-year-old Arkhamverse title is still way better. Yeah. 9 years ago, people go back and revisit this game. Batman Arkham Knight. What is that telling you? It's telling you that this thing is hot garbage. And thank you, Fandom Wire, for putting this article out there. I have a feeling that, well, you're not going to get your end of the year DLC. You might get that Joker thing since it seems like it's mostly developed, but it's quite possible you won't get everything that you were promised with this game. Would that surprise you? I don't know. Would surprise me if we got it, to be fair. This stuff is starting to become a regular occurrence when you start to put all this narrative garbage in there, when you start to adhere to these policies that basically are institutionalization of racism, amongst other things. You're institutionalizing prejudice in not only your, well, studio itself and the people that you employ, but you're also institutionalizing it within the content that you create. It doesn't work out well. Look at what Disney's been suffering with. You're talking about existential stuff here, at least for these game studios. Is this really the direction you want to go? I mean, look at what happened to the latest Saints Row reboot, and it was roundly rejected. I think they're giving it away for free, or at least were for a while on the PlayStation Store. It might even be free to play elsewhere. I don't know. I would never play that game. In fact, I'm pretty much going to avoid every modern game until somebody tells me that it doesn't have all this mess in it. I think a lot of gamers are going to do that. I have tons of stuff that works still. Not to mention the fact that there are emulators available for titles that I already own, and I can upscale. I might even go back and visit some of the arcade games from way back in the day via MAME emulation. There's a lot you can do. But do you want to play these modern games? Yeah, I don't think so. Anyway, let me know what you think. First of all, do you think they were actually deleting reviews? I really don't think so. Do you think that people are playing a game that's 9 years old instead of a game that just came out because it's full of the mess that nobody wants? I mean, this game has lots working against it. Game as a service, always on, and all the narrative garbage. That's three things that are against you right there. Not to mention the fact that you had a terrible launch. I don't know. But I do want to know what you think. So, like I said, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below because I would truly appreciate it. I don't know of anybody that's playing this game, to be fair. And like I said, I'm not even going near it. If you've played it, that's another thing. Let me know. Let me know what you think. Thanks a lot. Do check out my site, as I mentioned before, www.beachpunk.us, beachpunk.us, and pick up some gear. Yep, and we've got more stuff coming, so check it out. On that note, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya.